What if I told you that I knew more than the founder of the 5% nations of the gods and the earths about history, the true history? What if I told you that I knew more than Noble Drew Ali? Would you just think that was blasphemy because they're well known names? Even though they like a century, well, Noble Drew Ali is almost a century old, right? So it wouldn't be that hard to believe that some new information, or information rather, that he did not either want to give the people or he just didn't have access to. So bust it. Both of them used to say the original man is the Asiatic black man. Now, if you watch the end of the video, because some people are unsubscribed. No, that's not some people. One person unsubscribed because I'm not giving him the ratchet information. He want gossip and he want it fast. Yo, I don't got the tea, bro. This ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you looking for one of these channels? This ain't that, bro. This ain't that. So you gotta unsubscribe. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a numbers whore, bro. I'm the true and living, my nigga. And I know you're not used to being in the presence of the true and living. You gotta go get knowledge yourself and then come back, bro, and then build. Any old way. Cognitive dissonance is real. And my people perish for lack of knowledge, and when I try to give it to them, because their mind is already entrained, they reject what I tell them. So I'm going to show you today, and I try to show you fast. Like, I don't want this to be a 30-minute video. So let's first deal with what even brought about this conversation, why I'm even talking like this to you right now. Let's deal with that first. It's this article right here. Gold wealth in over 9.5 billion from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE failed to bring economic recovery to Africa's war-torn country. Powerful Gulf countries are not letting go of war-torn Sudan anytime soon. As Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates deepen their roles in a country weakened by hunger, economic collapse, and widening struggle over gold, aid, and influence. Listen to me. If you don't do nothing else, I promise you I'm not lying. And I do even one better. If you do think I'm lying and you want to debate me after this video, I am open to debate you. I'm going to whip your ass, but I'm definitely open to debate you. Now, these are Saudis. These are Arabs. Right? These are the descendants of the people who started the Moorish movement. Because I can tell you right now, it wasn't Africans that started that movement. Let's get into this here article. Since fighting between the Sudanese army and the rapid support forces broke out in April, Sudan has become a testing ground for Gulf influence, with powerful states seeking a greater stake in its gold, minerals, and strategic assets. I don't really need to read anymore, right? Because if you don't have knowledge of yourself, true knowledge of self, you might want to hit my channel. You might want to hit the subscribe button. Now, where I'm going to go right now is I'm going to take you to a book. This book is called The Destruction of a Black Civilization, right? The author is Chancellor Williams, just in case you want to look some things up, right? I'm going to read this page over here after I explain something to you. If you want to see the full lecture, I gave a 3-hour lecture on the House of Consciousness. Yes, the same House of Consciousness that Sanetta runs. I gave a 3-hour lecture. The master teachers and the master scholars were over there. They called my phone after I got off. Yo, you did an excellent job, Brother Saladin. So I just want you to know, this is why some of these people, I don't even know why you're comparing yourself to me. Not to like be arrogant, but the bubblegum content that you do is not to be confused with what I do. Disrespectfully. The bubblegum content you do is not to be confused with what I do. Now, let me summarize real quick the true history. The true history is there were these same nations, the Arabs and all these nations that were outside of Africa. They were trying to get into Africa for quite some time. Before they got in, our ancestors, I did a DNA test, so that's why I say we. So even though I was born in Bronx, New York, I have over 80% DNA coming from West Africa. Cool. We had our own history. Everything under the Sahara Desert was called sub-Saharan. So everything from the east to the west, we had our own culture. We didn't have Islam as a religion. We didn't have Christianity as a religion until the people finally breached in, the Christians, into Ethiopia, and also the Muslims, who we also traded with. The sub-Saharan people traded gold. The main things that they traded were gold, salt, ivory, we did have we had stone, and we even had some iron. But we would trade locally, meaning they had to come to us, all of the outsiders. And when they came, we traded. There was a whole custom. And then they took it long term. They would take it far. These travelers, these Arabian travelers, they would take it even as far as even North African and Arabian, right? North African and Arabian. They would take it far as Europe. So there was a system going on. Oh, and I forgot to also tell you, it was also human beings that was being traded. You call them slaves. Over time, and but for the sake of this video, I'm leaving a lot out. There were black people who betrayed the sub-Saharan people so that they could join forces with these Asians. This is the true history. So when I hear people today say that the original man was the Asiatic black man, first of all, that doesn't make sense. Don't debate me. I don't care what rank you are at any lodge. Do not debate me. And you can ask for the intellectual fade, and I will give it to you. That is not the original man scientifically. Scientifically, the oldest DNA we have comes from South Africa. That there's no Asiatic in it at all. So when we look at the history of the Asians actually breaching through into Africa, they started to influence the Africans more and more and more. First through their religion, right? So a lot of African, sub-Saharan Africans, they became Muslim more out of diplomacy, right? Safety. They abandoned their own cultures. Again, all you got to do is go to Sinetta, type in Jamel Saladin, The Paradox of 1492, and there's a 3-hour lecture over there. I would give it. My point being this: you are not, the original man is not the Asiatic black man. They exploited us. They took us as slaves. They raped our women. And I seek to liberate your minds. And today, according to that article that we just looked at, they're still looking to exploit us. Now, before you go, let me just read this, right? See if I could bring it even. Cool. Here we go. I'm going to read from the second chapter. The second paragraph on down. Since the first to be called Egyptians exclusively were half African and half Asian, their general hostility to their mother race was a social phenomenon that should not be passed over lightly, even though that development followed a universal pattern and therefore was not peculiar to the Egyptians. Its nature is essentially opportunist, a quest for security, recognition, and advancement by identifying with and becoming part of the new power elite of the conquerors, right? Listen, the invading conquerors not only capture and control all political and economic power by military might, but even though they might be nomadic barbarians, they generally claim to be from a higher civilization and therefore reinforce the myth of being superior, in fact, and not just because of military conquest. Much of the education that you guys got, you got to remember, I can't really blame Father Allah because he got it from the NOI, and the NOI got it from Noble Drew Ali. Master Farad was with Noble Drew Ali as well as Elijah Muhammad when they were all together at the Moorish Scientific Temple of America when Noble Drew Ali was out here saying what he was saying. I don't say this to hurt your heart. I don't say this so me and you can start fighting and you won't even win in the debate anyway. So let's not do that. Just hear what I'm saying. I'm not going to lie to you. And again, it's just, the history is there of these Asians exploiting us way before the white man. Way before the white man. Even if no such claim is made, the new ruling classes and all members of their race are superior vis-a-vis the indigenous or conquered people. Expediency and survival itself dictates loyal and faithful service to the Asian masters in the regions over which they had gained control, first in northern Egypt. This meant that even in the beginnings, siding with the Asians was not solely determined by whether one was half-breed or a full-blooded African. Blacks who did not choose to flee south but remained under Asian rule, even if enslaved, worked harder to gain recognition, and acceptance than any other group. Indeed, so anxious were some of these early blacks for integration with Asians that they themselves did most in creating the new breed of Egyptians who were to become their mortal enemies. It's always one to sell you out. I'm just letting you know that there's always going to be somebody that's eager to be the sellout one. That's just the nature. For all in and all out effort to appease the invaders, they freely gave their daughters and other desirable females as gifts to become concubines, thus speeding up the reproduction process on an ever widening scale. Nor did this lessen the wholesale capture of women in raids on African villages for the same purpose and for the export to Asia. Listen, I know y'all gonna be like, yo, son is bugging. He don't know. I make a bold claim that I knew more. And I'm telling you why I know more now. Maybe because more information, I had access to more information, right? There were several scholars that were able to go back and do the work. Dr. Benjamin Joe-Cannon, right? Chancellor Williams. There's many that realize there's no way in the world the original man could be the Asiatic black man. This is a story that was perpetuated by our colonizers. Yeah. The whites weren't the only colonizers. You got to go watch my. And you know what? I'm gonna go get that video and put it up on my own channel. Let's get this last paragraph, and I'm gonna let y'all go. Reference was made to the race of the Egyptian mothers, for in Egypt, as elsewhere, it was a one-way sexual process. The master race always kept its own women sacred and secluded behind the walls of their homes. They were not allowed to go outside except under guard. African women had no such restrictions or protection. I find it sad that we don't even know our own history. And then on top of that, I find it sadder that we would reject our history. Yo, do me a favor. I'm going to end this video. You can leave a comment whether you agree, you don't agree. But also let me, I want to know more, bro. I want to know more. I want the knowledge, right? And I'm going to find a way to work with the people who do want understanding. But I found it horrible that these same oppressors that you was told was the original man, which is asinine and sounds crazy, are still out here in Africa just exploiting the resources of our ancestors. Gold wealth and over 9.5 billion from the Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE failed to bring economic recovery to Africa's war-torn country. Gold wealth and over 9.5 from the Saudi. Yep. Well, control over Sudan's gold exports have shifted, with the UAE initially dominating, but recent deals boosting Saudi Arabia's role and breaking Dubai's monopoly. Black man, we gotta wake up. Enough with the living in the days of the 80s when we were at our lowest self. Like, we got to do something. Like, us running around claiming to be Asians is nuts. And nobody was gonna say nothing because nobody had the courage. And yeah, I know a lot of God bodies, but knock it off. And I love y'all. Knock it off, though. Knock it off. I know y'all going, yo, Mel, man. That's non-cipher. It is not non-cipher, God. It is not non-cipher. The Asian man has nothing to do with being the original man, even scientifically. Hit the like button. Swallow that I just gave you. Pause. Internalize that I just gave you. And knock it off.